The bed is the most dangerous object you will ever own. It has witnessed more births, deaths, and decisions than any battlefield in history. For most of human existence, the bed was not where you slept. It was where you ruled. Long before mattresses, before frames, before the comfort we take for granted, early humans slept on the ground. They gathered grasses, leaves, and ash into raised piles. In a rock shelter in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered bedding made of compacted plant material dating back roughly 77,000 years. The ash layered beneath it was deliberate. It repelled insects and ticks. Even then, the bed was a tool for survival. To sleep on the ground was to be vulnerable. Predators hunted at night. Cold seeped from the earth. Damp soil carried disease. The first raised beds lifted the human body away from danger. Height meant safety, and in the ancient world, safety was the first form of power. The Egyptians understood this completely. They raised their beds on legs carved to resemble the limbs of lions and bulls. The higher the bed, the higher the status of the sleeper. Pharaohs rested on platforms of ebony inlaid with gold. Servants slept on reed mats on the floor beside them. The distance between the body and the earth is measured by the distance between ruler and ruled. In ancient Egypt, the bed was also a passage. The dead were laid upon ornate funeral beds before burial. Tutankhamun was entombed with several, including beds shaped like sacred animals. The bed carried the living into sleep and the dead into eternity. It stood at the threshold between worlds. The Romans pushed the idea further. They did not merely sleep on beds. They ate on them. They received guests on them. They conducted the business of the empire while reclining. The lectus was furniture for sleeping, dining, and holding court. To recline was the privilege of the free citizen. Slaves stood. Citizens lie down. The posture of rest became the posture of authority. For centuries, the bed remained the beating center of the household. Not a private retreat, a public stage. In medieval Europe, the bed was often the single most valuable object a family owned. It was named specifically in wills. It was inherited across generations. A great carved bed could cost more than a modest house. It was draped in heavy curtains, not only for warmth, but for display. The wealthier the family, the grander the bed they wanted the world to see. And the bed was rarely private. Entire families slept together in a single chamber. Servants slept at the foot of their masters. Travelers shared beds with strangers at inns. The modern idea of sleeping alone behind a closed door did not yet exist. Solitude in sleep was a luxury almost no one could imagine. There is a single bed that captured this strange public life better than any other. In England, a colossal oak bed was built around the end of the 16th century. It measured over 10 feet wide. It could hold many sleepers at once. It became so famous that it was mentioned in plays of the period, and drew travelers from across the country simply to see it. People carved their initials into its frame to prove they had slept there. A bed had become a destination, a monument, a thing to be witnessed rather than hidden away. The marriage bed carried even greater weight. For most of recorded history, a wedding was not considered complete until the couple shared a bed. In noble and royal households, this too could be a witnessed event. The joining of two families, two fortunes, sometimes two kingdoms, was sealed in the bedchamber. The bed was the contract made physical. It was where alliances became permanent and where the next generation began. Then came the most extraordinary chapter in the history of the bed, the royal bedchamber. In the courts of Europe, the bed became an instrument of the state itself. The king did not simply sleep in private. He performed sleep. At the Palace of Versailles, the waking of King Louis XIV was a formal daily ceremony. It was called the levee. Each morning, Ranks of nobles gathered in his bedchamber to watch him rise, to hand him his shirt, to witness the king leave his bed. The closer a courtier stood to the royal bed, the greater his standing in the kingdom. Proximity to the mattress meant proximity to the throne. Quiet wars of influence were fought over who was permitted to hold the king's nightshirt. The bed was not furniture. It was the engine of the entire court. The royal bed held another function, one that could decide the fate of nations. It was where heirs were born, and it was where their birth had to be proven. For a future king or queen, the moment of birth could not be left to rumor. The legitimacy of an entire dynasty depended on it. So royal births were deliberately public events. Witnesses crowded into the chamber. Ministers, physicians, and senior members of the court stood watch as the queen labored. They were there to confirm that the child was real, that no infant had been secretly carried in, that the line of succession was genuine. The bed, in those moments, decided who would rule and who would be cast aside. A single birth in a single bed could redirect the future of an empire. Death, too, came to the bed. For most of human history, people did not die in hospitals. They died at home, in their own beds, surrounded by family. The deathbed was its own kind of ceremony. Final words were spoken there. Last wishes were declared. Wills were confirmed before witnesses gathered around the dying. The same object that received a person at birth would release them at the end. Birth, marriage, power, and death. The bed held all four. This was the truth hidden beneath the comfort. For thousands of years, the bed was where power was displayed, transferred, and confirmed. It was the most political object in the house. So how did it become the private sanctuary we know today? The change came slowly, and then all at once. As wealth spread beyond kings and aristocrats, ordinary homes grew larger. Rooms multiplied and gained dedicated purposes. The space for sleeping is separated from the space for living. The bed retreated behind a door of its own. The Industrial Revolution accelerated everything. Mass production made bed frames affordable to working families. New manufacturing turned what had been a handcrafted luxury into an everyday object. In the 19th century, the inner-sprung mattress brought a new standard of comfort within reach of ordinary people. For the first time in history, an average person could own a bed designed for one purpose alone. Not status, not a ceremony, not display, sleep. And as the bed became private, something profound shifted in human life. Sleep itself became private. The act of resting, once performed before crowds and witnesses, retreated into solitude. The bedroom became the one room where the rest of the world was shut out. This is the great reversal at the heart of the story. For most of human history, the bed was the most public object a person owned, a stage for power, for birth, and for death. Today, it is the most private, the place where no one watches, the place where the day is finally allowed to end. The bed did not change because comfort improved. Comfort improved because the meaning of the bed had already changed. The private bedroom was not invented so that people could sleep better. It was invented so that people could be alone. Consider what that means. The room where you will sleep tonight is the result of a quiet revolution, a revolution that unfolded across thousands of years. The earliest humans raised their beds to escape predators in the dark. Pharaohs raised theirs to display their nearness to the gods. Kings used theirs to command the loyalty of nations. Queens gave birth in their own to secure the survival of dynasties. And tonight you will lie down in the direct inheritance of all of it. The bed remembers everything. Every civilization that ever rose left its mark upon it. The instinct for safety, the hunger for status, the performance of power, the certainty of death. All of it folded quietly into the most ordinary object in your home. You think of your bed as a place of rest. For nearly all of human history, it was a place of consequence. The most dangerous object you will ever own is not dangerous because of what it does to you. It is dangerous because of what it has always known. Every secret whispered in the dark, every decision made before dawn, every beginning and every ending. You will spend roughly a third of your life in it, and it will keep your secrets faithfully, just as it once kept the secrets of kings.